Welcome to the High Tech Redneck channel. My name is David. I want to thank you for coming in on this build. Today we're going to be talking about the Mega Chicken Tractor Fortress. And if any of you know about chicken tractors, generally they're a pretty lightweight thing that you can tote around the yard. And here in northern Idaho, we have a lot of predators, and some of them are pretty big. We have grizzly bear, we have black bear, we have cougar, lynx, bobcat, wolves, and we also have the regular coyotes and the raccoons and skunks and weasels. So I had to build something pretty substantial, and so I'm going to just walk you through that build right now, and I'll just explain to you a part that I worked on, and then I'll divert over to the shop when I was working on it, because I've been working on it through the winter, so those will be things from the past. So I'll bounce back and forth and kind of walk you through it. So here we go. So the first part I'm going to talk about is the main frame. The main frame was made of a couple of 21-foot pieces of 1.5" Schedule 40 piping, and they are the foundation, if you will, of this chicken tractor. And so they're going to be right here, located right here, and they're painted, and they actually go through this piece of box. As you'll see right there, you can see the end of them, and they run the full length of the tractor on both sides. And this gives me the support, and you can see that's the end of it right there extending through. Okay, so when I built that, I had to make a way for these pre-made fence panels to actually be able to be mounted to them and have them fit, because they're a pretty precise fit. So each one of these I'll show you here in the shop, where I actually welded about foot-long pieces of round bar in there. Actually, I think it's round pipe, so that these could slip in it later. So that's the first step I did, was I lined up for these two sides so that all the panels would fit along the sides, going full length, and then also width, because all of the locations are on this main frame. You can see here, even the panels that go perpendicular this way, they only mount on this outside frame, and that allowed me to lay this out in the shop and make sure that it would all fit. So that's the first part of it, is just that main frame. And then after I had the main frame, I had to take those two, all I had basically was two very long poles with 1-foot vertical stub outs, if you will, every place that the fencing had to slide down and fit in. So then I needed to actually make it into the configuration that the chicken tractor is, which it is 10 feet wide and 21 feet long. And so I had to do crossbarring and gusset, supports. And then where the coop is, I decided that I would go ahead and I would mesh it with hog wire just in the coop side. And you can see it's split up into two pieces. One is like the open area where they can just run around and do what chickens do, and the other is a more of a coop setup with roosts and all that kind of thing, like a regular like you'd have in a regular poultry pen. So I'm going to go ahead and go inside and just kind of explain some of those pieces to you. Okay, and I'll open up the door here. Let me get you inside. Hi guys, it's all right. You're doing okay. So right here you can see there's a door. You can go this way, and that is an enclosed coop. And you can see that it has polycarbonate wind guard in it almost all the way. I left a little of it open so that it could actually have a lot of air ventilation, and the roof itself is also solid panels, and it has a suspended tarp, because here in Idaho I won't be keeping them out here. They'll go to their main coops during the winter, and so we will have to take this tarp down so that the heavy snow doesn't destroy the structure, which I think it would be okay, but you never know. So I told you that after I did these side panels, once I did these side rails out of the pipe, then I had to go ahead and I had to join this thing together. And that would be where I welded these bars here, and also these gusset bars that come at a 45 for support, as well as this center cross bar. And that just gives it rigidity for when I'm moving it around. There's a lot of force here. This chicken tractor weighs probably about 1,700 pounds. Okay, so then we go back here again in the center. You have the corner gussets on both sides, and then I have some 1-inch flat, a 1-inch box, and I made a grid pattern here off of one center bar, and that center bar runs all the way down the center in line and pushes up right against that other center bar for support, so that as it's being pushed on there, it doesn't take the flex, you know, on one side or another and skew itself. So then off of these bars, and this is all this center, this is all this second set here, I put all this grid in, and then I also put hog wire, 4-inch hog wire on there. And the reason that it's hog wired on this end and not the other is because I am able to take the chickens, take them out of this area here that is not hog wired. I can come in that main door that I showed you right here, and I can circle around to the outside with this door in the coop open, and I can actually corral them all inside here, and then back up and lock it. And in doing that, when I lift this up, because in Idaho, you know, a lot of the chicken tractors you see, it's well manicured yard. Well, these are rough fields, and sometimes they got to take it from one field to another, and they would not be able to keep up, and they would probably get sucked underneath and get hurt. And not only that, but then around these wheels, you can see on the outside, I'll go to the outside and show you, I have anti-dig out panels. But right around the wheels, it's very hard to do that. This is the inside of where the wheels are when I show you around on the outside. So I had to make it so that this inside was a complete place, you know, a strong place that would be, you know, supportive. Okay, so now that's the inside structure here. And that's the framework that we did. We'll come back, we'll visit some more things in here. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go back outside and leave these girls alone a little bit. I can see that they're being very nice chickens for us here. Very productive. This is only the second day that they've been here, and they've been moved already, so they're not being too affected by that. Good egg production, and they love it. Okay, so then after I got done making the main brace, the main runs on the side with the two Schedule 40 21 footers, you know, that linked all the fencing together, and then I did all the cross stuff inside that I just showed you, and I also did the gussets for support. Then after I got done doing all of that interior stuff, then I needed to build the part that was going to lift it, other than the hitch, which is on the other side, and we'll show you that here too. Okay, so I built the actual lifting wheels and the support H pattern that slides up and down, and I'll just show you all that right now. When we go in the shop here, in this, I'm going to be showing you how I built this whole support system right here, and this isn't painted here. This is not painted here because that is greased, and this slides up and down freely via these jacks. And there's one on this side, and then that bar spans all the way, because this header bar right here, this strong back bar, or axle probably would be a more accurate thing, it actually connects the two together. They come out here, they've got all this interior gusset supporting, and then these prefabbed wheel supports, and I'm using two 16-inch no flat solid rubber wheelbarrow tires, and they have the Zerk fittings so I can grease them. Okay, so that's the actual lifting and lowering mechanism. And then I had to, here, this is the other end of that long pipe I started out with that I told you about that was 21 foot. I actually built a cap on that, joined it to this one so that it would actually, it could hold this in place, because I needed these jacks to be bolted and they push down. And when they push down, then they push the wheel into the earth and they lift this. And that's how that works. I have two of them. And you might think that that's really awkward, but it's not, because these are some unique jacks. They actually have a hex head here. I can crank them by hand, or I can hook up a drill drive or a rattle gun, you know, impact driver, and speed them up, speed them down, and it actually works pretty good. So I'll be showing you in the shop how I built all of that. I'm going to move now to the front of the tractor, chicken tractor, and show you how the A-frame was built. That's the trailer support system framework for being able to pick it up. You can pick it up with a regular truck, or like I have a 3-point pick on a tractor. It makes it really handy, really easy. So now we've come around to the front of the chicken tractor, and I'm going to go ahead, show you what I'm going to be explaining about, and then we'll be dropping back into the shop, and I'll show you how I built those pieces. So what you're looking at right now is this is the what's often called the A-frame. Okay, it's like on a regular trailer. It's just the part that would come out and allow you to pick up your trailer with the ball hitch on your truck. Okay, and then I have this jack right here. Sometimes I built this at the height that fits for my three-point pick on my tractor, because it makes it really easy. I can just back in and lift. But sometimes you're going to need to have it like on a truck or something, and you need to go higher. So I have this jack, and it actually bolts on right here, and it pins. You can actually slide it over to the side and put it down, and you can lift this up higher if you don't have your tractor and you got a truck and you need to move it. And so I have a main support box here. This is a 3-inch box, and then a couple of 2x4s, and then I had to build a header, much like the setup that I built for the back for lifting. And this is just a way to get it up high off of the frame. I took a 3-inch piece of box here, and I drilled the holes on the ends of it, so the pipe, the main actual frame, goes all the way through it, and that helps keep it rigid and joins the front to the back. You know, very positive connection there. You can see here there's also some other ports there where I've done the same throughout, all the way on all the sides. Okay, and then I've got some supporting going upward, vertical, joins those two together, and then I have a 45-degree support here that goes down, and then you see an exoskeleton type framework. It's a 2-inch box, Schedule 40, that follows parallel with the long 21-foot piping that started this thing off. And that's because when I lift something this big and this heavy, it would just pipe, it would have too much spring, and I would worry about pushing it back into something. And while I pushed it back into something, if it had, you know, hit a rock or something with those tires, I might actually tweak the frame. So this is just a double support, but it, you know, it actually serves some good purposes. So I came off of this pipe here, which is the main pipe I discussed that I started with, and then I built these little standout pipes, notched them so they fit that, welded it to them, brought them out, and then married this together so it ties into that front. So when this thing is lifted, it pushes down on this frame and back on this upper one, and that actually keeps it from tweaking and bending. The reason for this mesh right here is because there would have been a gap here from the actual no-dig panels that I've built that flip up and flip down, and that would have been too big of an area. They could have bypassed my anti-dig out system, so I had to extend this rail. I put a rail on the end of it, and out of some box, 1-inch box, and then I put the 2-inch hog wire and made it to where it keeps it secure immediately right along the edge. after I got this thing together and I put the fencing on it and assembled the rest of it, you know, there are so many small steps. This video would be way too long, but I'll just go over some of those things that I did, and I'll explain what their purpose is. Okay, so here we go. These panels right here, each one of these panels are 10 foot long. They're prefab panels like that you would buy from a temporary fence place. They're 8 feet tall and chain link, and I have 2 of them with doors, and I have 2 of then I believe there's a total of 7. Okay, and the rest of them are just blank panels. They have crossbars in them for support. Okay, so that was all good. These are all put together with being held in place by those uprights that I told you, the little 1 foot stubbies that come off the main bar, and then they go up at the top and they're actually clamped up there. And I'll explain what I got going up there in a little bit. Okay, so we have weasels around here too, and weasels they can kill your whole flock in minutes. And so I did some rabbit fence, 4 foot high, and that'll keep small stuff from going in the bottom and let bugs and stuff still come through. And then also I wanted them to not poke their head out and get it lobbed off, because they're kind of curious when something's coming around. They might try to say hi and it would be fatal for them. Okay, so those are the panels that just drop in. I did not make those are prefab. I did have to, in this area here, I had too big of an area. I had a spare panel, and I actually cut a piece and made a custom clamp there, so it took up that space. I did that both top and bottom, so something couldn't just climb in real easy. And these are pieces that I had left over from a custom panel. When I go inside, I'll explain the roof. So all the way around this, you have the 1 inch graduated down to very tight mesh, and then at the top, very tight mesh. I don't know why it's that way, but it's called rabbit fence, field fence. And then that goes all the way around the outside perimeter, just for the small predator and for protection. And then starting right about here, again, I left this open for ventilation because it's very important. And then, so I've got polycarbonate paneling. It's just the real thin single wall stuff. And it goes all the way around here. And it's full height in this back part here and in that partial front. But back here, it is only halfway. And that's because this tarp that is part of the roof comes down to right here. And I can peel this back up if I need to. And that will give me some ventilation if they get too hot. But for the most part, they're just going to need shielding. Okay, so then we come around the outside here for the actual meshing that I used to be able to prevent predators from digging in. That is your 2 inch square thick gauge, they call it a hog wire, I believe. And then I put everything together with carabiners. Okay, and that just makes it really easy to connect and disconnect. And then I welded a chain link wherever they're going to go on the main frame, and a carabiner. Okay, and just put them together. And that way, if I'm moving around and one of these pieces, God forbid, these meshes that protect predators from getting in, if they fall down and I bend one, I don't have to re-weld it in. I can just disconnect it, and this whole thing just picks up really easy. It's not very difficult at all, and it just stays connected in there really nice and protects the outside perimeter all the way around. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the roof. Okay, so what I did was I took a piece of spare panel, the one that I cut, because I had to make a custom centerpiece, because thank you, Guy. It's because I had to make a centerpiece for this to be able to put panels in the inside, because 2 regular panels fit, but it left a 4 foot wide section in the middle. And so I had to make that. So I cut a panel up to do that. I used the rest of the panel here I actually made this pole, made some custom clamps that clamp to something small and to the top, and they go all the way up there, and you can see it supports a wire cable. That cable goes over to an identical one of these on the other end, one of these poles. Cable comes through it, and it's carabinered in, and it has a turnbuckle so I can tighten it. And that actually lifts up and makes a peak for the tarp. Okay, so then when you come around here, you can see that I have like a black padding right there, and that's because I padded the outside of the outside edge where the tarp comes down to keep it from chafing. You see how it just rolls, and that protects it. So here we have a mount. This mount right here holds a water bucket. The water bucket's tapped so that it has a line. I have a header with the nipple assemblies that I'm actually going to put along this wall. That's the last thing I have to do to be complete, and I'm waiting for a couple of pieces, and I'll install that. Right now they just have a regular feeder. So now let's just talk a little bit about if I can get Mr. Rooster to shut, oh brother, if I can get him to shut up long enough, then we'll go ahead and we'll talk a little bit about some of this inside, okay? Okay, so here we are inside the coop, and when you look, I'm going to point you straight up at the ceiling and explain the ceiling, okay? So, looking at the ceiling, you can see from one end, there's a whole panel. It's identical to the panel that is on the side that you see, the 8 foot high by 10 foot long panels. And then there is a identical one on this end. So 2 full panels cover all of it up top under the tarp for a hard cage to, you know, keep them safe. But this little centerpiece here, right up here, I had to make a custom piece, and that piece is 4 foot wide and 10 foot long, and I just simply cut one of the panels in half and restrung the same wire, okay? And that's what you're seeing. So that's why the inside is flat and has that peak on it, is because I wanted it to have some protection from predators, because we get bears actually even climb on top of these things. And then yet I put that cable suspension system in there, and you can see the black material underneath the tarp right on the edge, because I wanted to pull it tight and not have it chafe, not have it tear up the tarp, because this is a pretty good quality 20 mil tarp, and I did not want it to just get trashed. And see, and then that rolls all the way down halfway. There is no polycarbonate or anything on this end. This is just open free range area, and they absolutely love it. So then we come in here, nesting. The nesting buckets, I just have some galvanized buckets bolted to it, and I put some straw in it, and as you can see, they love it. It picks up with this unit when I'm moving really nice. And then we come over here to the framework here. When I built the framework, I put some 2x4 receivers in it, much like if you were going to build a trailer and you wanted to put stakes at the side, you'd see these little pockets. And I just cut off and made custom ones with drain and bolt holes, and then welded it onto this 1x1 frame. And that allows me to have all this freestanding, very sturdy, and connects them all. And so I have one perch here. This perch right here is at 2 feet, and then it hops on up to 4 feet, and then the very top one is 5 feet. And this allows them to hop up on there when I'm moving. They also like to just stand on all these bars, and they don't get freaked out. And when it's windy, they have a place in here for reprieve, to stay warm and not get wet when we have some sideways rain. So we'll go ahead and walk on out. All right, now you're quiet. Now that I'm done talking, you're all quiet. All right, you guys got anything more you want to say? Okay. Enjoy. All right, let me get this gate here. Okay, well that concludes the tour of the Mega Chicken Tractor build. I want to thank you for watching the High Tech Redneck channel, and I hope that you will join me again. Consider liking and subscribing to be able to enjoy future builds. We try to find interesting ways to build stuff, and we just hope that you'll join us.